Now, we've talked a little bit about the average settlement in like a car accident case. So let's lead that into like a general personal injury case, because in layman's terms, a person that's not, infinitely knowledgeable about personal injury as you are, personal injury can contain a lot of different things. So, slip and falls, deck collapses, things of that nature. Would you also consider medical malpractice? I guess you could in a different sense. But
I think it's a personal injury. I think medical malpractice.
So obviously, car accident, person hits other person or thing, and lots of damage. What would be the average in a personal injury settlement?
I'm going to say the same. I'm going to say $25,000. I looked at some stuff too, but I think it's about the same. Now the ranges for a car wreck or a personal injury case, there's $25,000 to $1 million. But let's keep it on personal injury cases. So you have the high personal injury cases, like more complicated medical malpractice cases, or a premises liability. Someone has a hole in your yard, you break your leg, or a products liability case where it's dangerous product, or a medical malpractice case where
would dog bites fall in that as well?
Absolutely. Yeah. Personal injury is everything. It's the big umbrella, and under that are the subdivisions like car, truck, auto. You got med mals, you got dog bites, you got your workers' compensation claims too. Workers' compensation claim is an injury. It's an injury personal to you, to a person, not a property. It's just to distinguish versus property damage or personal or bodily injury claim.
And to be clear too, you don't handle property damage cases.
Sometimes we do, but most of the time in car wreck cases, what we tell people is, you take care of your property damage because I don't want to take a fee on that. I want you to get all the money. We'll help them. We'll write them letters. We'll do that. But you do that. I also, though, sometimes I just was about to try a case 2 weeks ago, and they caved, where someone has an insurance claim on their house and they won't pay. So we sue the insurance company and say, you ripped them off. Their house burned down. Pay them the $100,000, the $200,000. So we've done those cases numerous times. So, we also do, like people have wage loss or others. We do economic injury cases. I've been asked to try a lot of commercial cases. I had this $100 million wage case that we tried and we got for the Missouri Department of Corrections. So that's not a personal injury case. It was a wage case, a wage and hour case. It's just, I think it describes the type of injury and the type of damages that you're entitled to. So on the average for a personal injury case, I think it's around $25,000, but the range is from $5,000 to $1 million or above $1 million, because there's a lot of little sprained ankle cases or slip on ice and fracture your wrist type of cases that are those lower cases, but there's also cases with product defects that significantly injure people. Doctors, careless doctors that are too busy, or hospital nurses that they just don't care and they miss medication, or they don't do it, or they're not watching, making sure the oxygen's on, or all the things that can happen in a hospital that's not run well. And those cases are bigger cases. So, but on average, I'd say $25,000. Now, I think my average, again, not to pat myself on the back, I think ours is a little higher because, again, I let people handle their DIY or their own case when it's low.
So they're taking the full amount.
Yeah. I don't, let them drop my name and try to get the $5,000 for themselves and help their kids because I can add value to the big case. So I think and we kind of try to take bigger cases and litigate and file lawsuits to push for those settlements.
Do you feel like
settlements?
Do you feel like when people come to you, they know what their case is worth?
So, yes and no. Great question, Dave. They think so. Sometimes they do because this information's out there. They can Google it. If you start Googling it, you'll get enough. And actually, we put up a personal injury calculator on our website. You and I talked about it.
Yeah, and we can link that in the video too.
Yeah, I was a little reluctant, but we did it because there's all that information out there, and people should be savvy consumers of there. It's hard to decide how to choose a lawyer. It's hard to do this. This is a unique area. People are like, I've never come to a lawyer before, so they look at it a little bit. So they'll have some ideas, and sometimes they're right, but also sometimes they won't appreciate nuances of damages, like there's caps on certain types of damages for the claim.
So like fingers, thumbs, foot, toe, knee, elbow, etc.
Well, yeah, but so in medical malpractice, there's a cap on non-economic damages. So if you die, you could only get $750,000 in Missouri. If it's a non-catastrophic case, it's only about $440,000 for non-economic damages. In workers' compensation, it's terribly cheap, and you can cut off your finger and be limited to like 30 weeks of pay, the tip of your finger and stuff. So there's caps in work comp too. There's also caps, de facto caps, meaning in effect caps, if someone only has $25,000 in insurance. There's a cap. Sometimes people, I have this in wage loss claims all the time, people say, I make this, I missed 4 months of work, da-da-da-da. How are you? And if they're a W-2 employee and they get a check, that's great. But then I say, show me your tax returns if they own their own business. Well, I make that, but I don't quite claim that. I said, tell you what, let's see your tax returns. Mm-hmm. That'll inform us as to the rate that you're making money. So sometimes...
And they might be entitled, not to cut you off, but they might be entitled to some of that as well because that's lost income?
Well, they are, but sometimes people... It is my experience that people sometimes with their own business think that they make more than they do on the books.
Interesting.
Not because they're doing, I'm not saying anybody's doing anything wrong, but because, you got cash flow on some of your expenses. So I once tried a case where my client insisted on putting his wage loss claim up, and he was a trucker. And he had 2 trucks. He ran $500,000 in income through his business. But at the end of the day, he was only paying taxes on $30,000 or $40,000 because it was gas costs, all these other costs. Now, the jury hated it. They thought it was bogus that he was that much money was going through, and it kind of was. And I told him not to. So, again, I'm not judging anybody, but it is just my experience that when I talk to clients and they say how much, if they're a W-2, they're exactly on it, and they say I make $20 an hour, I make $40,000 a year, and you look at the W-2s and it's consistent.
It's all automated, plugged in.
My daughter, she gave me her stuff for her taxes. She's 18, and we're paying taxes just like today or tomorrow, whatever.
Right.
And I was like, you only made this. Oh, I thought I made more. Sometimes you don't make as much as you think, which is okay. It's all good. But people with private businesses, I say, give me your tax returns. And then they go, oh, okay, well, I haven't filed in a couple of years, or da-da-da-da. Mm-hmm. So you got to have that discussion. I'm an econ guy. I was trained as an economist. I'm very comfortable, very smart at making economic loss damages. I've done it in highly complex situations involving business valuation, all kinds of stuff.
Because you never know who's going to get injured if it's someone that's a W-2 or they own their own business, and then
they should get and a business owner should get paid. They absolutely should get paid. But you don't want, when you go in front of the jury, you don't want to pigs eat, hogs get slaughtered. You don't want to be too hoggy. Okay, you can be a pig, don't be a hog, right? Or I don't know, whatever the analogy is. Let's get the right analogy when we.
Sure, we can put it in the subtitles.
No, but I mean, you don't want to. I tend to be. Jurors and people don't like if you're trying to get more than you're entitled to, and we shouldn't. Should we get all we're entitled to? Yes. Should we get 110% of what we're entitled to? No. So we'd want to be measured in our requests for those types of damages, wage loss damages.